Hi, I'm Ruben Östlund, Wattlos.
Welche Herausforderungen erwarten den Direktor eines Museums?
Wir sind ein Museum moderner und zeitgenössischer Kunst und müssen der Zeit entsprechende Kunst zeigen. Der Wettbewerb ist gnadenlos. Zeigt man in einem Museum ein Objekt, wird es dann zum Kunstgegenstand. Nehmen wir zum Beispiel Ihre Handtasche, um sie da hinzustellen. Würde sie dann ein Kunstwerk.
Ah. Okay.
Hi, I'm here today with Ruben Östlund, the director from The Square. First of all, it's an amazing movie. I saw it early in the morning. Can you tell the audience from my channel what is The Square about?
Well, the film takes place in a contemporary art museum where they are exhibiting an art piece that is trying to raise awareness about humanistic values and altruism. And the main character of the film is Christian, that is the chief curator of this museum. And I would say that he's someone that really believes in this humanistic project. And in the same time that he is working with this project on the art museum, the Square, then he's challenged in situations in his personal life when his moral and ethics is put like into to a dilemma. So it takes place in an art museum, and then also it's about this guy Christian.
And what makes the film so special that we must saw this movie? What makes it so exciting, so different than other movies?
Well, that's up to you to explain, I think also, but I think that one thing that I always do is that I'm trying to combine an important topic and do it in a wild and entertaining way. So I can tell you 3 scenes that are in the film, and you have to try to figure out yourself how it actually can be in the same feature film. One scene is called the condom scene. One scene is called monkey imitator. And the third one is called blonde child begging get blown into pieces. So you can try, yeah. For me, that points out a little bit how wild the film is.
You mean with the condom scene when Claire Spang and Elizabeth Moss have sex, and before he goes into the bedroom, there sits a gorilla.
Yeah, that's before the condom scene, I would say. That the chimpanzee scene.
This was my favorite scene, by the way. How long does it take to realize this project from the idea in your mind and to the result that we see today?
I would say for me it takes 3 years. So, and I think that's really the challenge of being a film director also, because it takes very long from that you have the idea until you actually can express it and until the film is finished. But I have had 3 years in between my movies since the first movie I made, actually. The Square is my 5th feature film. And Force Majeure, or Höhere Gewalt, that it was called, it was 3 years ago. And before that, it was 3 years ago or 3 years to Play. So I have been having this rhythm now for my 4 last feature films. So yeah, I think that you really have to have stamina when it comes to being a director, because you have to think it's interesting with one idea for as long as 3 years.
Yeah, you said Höhere Gewalt, and I saw The Square, and it's really different than Höhere Gewalt, and it's about modern art. Why are you so fascinated about this topic, modern art?
First of all, because the idea to make the film started with that me and a friend of mine made this art piece that is called The Square. So we were actually having an exhibition on a museum where with this installation. And then I have already started to write on a script, and I realized, okay, the film maybe can take place in a contemporary art museum. But I think that I'm interested in these kind of environment that are a little bit artificial, you know, that you have this white cube and we are supposed to expose things there that makes us think about life and makes us think about the society. And I love to have that as a backdrop. I mean, I don't think that the film really is about the contemporary art scene, even though that it takes place a lot there. And I could compare that with Höhere Gewalt, where we have the ski resort. And the ski resort is like the backdrop. So I think I like to have an environment that I'm curious about, and let that be the backdrop for the dilemma or for the storyline that takes place in the film.
I think in The Square, the film is more humanity. In the film is more humanity than in Höhere Gewalt. Why are you so fascinated to do humanity in your films?
Do you mean, I think that what I do different than most filmmakers is that I don't have a psychological explanation on the characters, what they do, why they do it. I think I have a more behavioristic explanation. So I'm zooming out a little bit. I'm looking at human being almost like an animal, and put it in different situations and investigating also how would I behave if I was dealing with this situation. So, for me, that is definitely more interesting than trying to point out different individuals' behavior. I think it's much more interesting to say, in which way do we behave as human beings? I have always been more interested in that, I guess.
Yeah. Let's say you are in some of the situations in the movie. How do you act in these situations? What do you think? Personal.
First of all, I have been in many of the situations that are in the movie because I'm inspired of them, because I have experienced them in my own life. And I think it's always easy to be, wise when you are looking at the film and saying, this is how you should deal with this. But when you are in the middle of the situation, it's much harder, because then you have to react in a completely different way. But for an example, if we look at the monkey imitator scene, the performance that this artist have when he's imitating a monkey, and people are getting very scared, and we are getting paralyzed because we are getting scared. And what I would do if I was in that situation, I would probably try to grab someone else and say, like, should we do something? And then we are trying to create a group. Maybe we together can do something to avoid this crazy performance artist. But that's easy to say. When you're sitting there and you're scared, then it's probably harder.
Was it hard to find actors to make these crazy situations, to realize that because the movie is extraordinary and really difficult than other movies, and I think it must be difficult to find actors to do this job. How was it?
Well, we have a long casting period. They have not been hard to make anyone be willing to do it. The people, actors are dying to be in the movie, but of course it's hard to find the right actor and to find these. I wanted to create an ensemble of actors that was feeling rich and that they are different characters, and it's a palette, that with different lot of colors. So it was a long casting period, and I was working with a casting director that is called Pauline Hansson. So if you ever are going to cast someone in Sweden, I think you should contact her. She's very, very stubborn. She just keeps on going until we find that the perfect one for the part. So, yeah, finding the right actor is actually just a practical thing that takes a long time, I would say.
Was it hard to find sets, buildings and something else to shoot the movie inside? I mean, the hall, was it hard to find this place for the film?
No, I mean, since the art museum in the film is taking place in the Royal Castle of Sweden, so and we have a monarchy in Sweden now, so of course that was a little bit of a challenge, because in the film the monarchy is over and Sweden have turned into a republic, so we are using the Royal Castle of Stockholm. And we have put in like an architecture extension on it, which is a modern extension that is put on the Royal Castle. So it's inspired of Versailles and Louvre. When the French Revolution happened, then what should we do with all these big buildings? And then let's turn them into museums. So. And then we had to find interiors that could look like a castle interior, but also like these parts that is like in the modern extension of the museum. So yeah, it was a little bit hard. We found some great interiors for the castle in Stockholm, but we were not allowed to shoot in the castle. The king didn't want to allow us to be there. And then we shot on a museum in Gothenburg, where I live. And then we actually shot the Anne, Elisabeth Moss characters. Her apartment is shot in Berlin.
In Berlin?
Yeah. And that's because we were working with a chimpanzee that comes from France. And there are some regulations when it comes to working with chimpanzees and monkeys in Sweden. So we had to go to Berlin to shoot the monkey.
Was it a real monkey in this film?
Yes, it was a very sweet monkey called Tibby. That is half bonobo, half chimpanzee.
So last question, what are your next projects in third time?
It's called Triangle of Sadness. And Triangle of Sadness is when you have like a wrinkle in between your eyebrows because you have had a lot of trouble in your life. But don't worry, we can fix that in 15 minutes with Botox. So the next film, actually my wife is from Hamburg, Sina Goetz, and she have been working with fashion photography for quite many years, and she have been telling me very funny stories and interesting stories from the fashion world and the beauty industry. So the main character in the next film is a male model that he's getting bald. He's have a little problem with that.
So you spent lots of time in Hamburg?
Yes, I have done. During the 3 last years, I've been traveling back and forth between Göteborg and Hamburg, and so I know quite much about the city.
Okay, thanks for the interview and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Im kommenden Herbst präsentieren wir die argentinische Künstlerin und Soziologin Lola Arias und ihre Ausstellung The Square. Wir als Museum dürfen keine Angst haben, Grenzen zu überschreiten. Das auf gar keinen Fall.
Du hast mich lieb genannt, ich mach Chaos mit dir!
Es wird Zeit, was zu essen. Wir haben ein fantastisches Buffet. Wir haben für Sie Maishuhn mit einer Pilzfüllung und dazu... Lassen Sie sich bitte Zeit, Sie sollen sich Zeit lassen!
Sagen Sie mal, wie oft suchen Sie die Nähe von Frauen, die Sie kaum kennen? Und schlafen mit ihnen? Fragen Sie sie, wie sie heißen?
Ja?
Und wie heiße ich?
The Square ist eine Zufluchtsstätte, in der Vertrauen und Achtsamkeit herrschen.
Sie sollen sich beruhigen.
Hier haben alle die gleichen Rechte und Pflichten.